Doctors will treat your back pain. They'll treat your leg pain. But almost no one will tell you the one place sciatica might be hitting hardest. And it's not your spine. Welcome back to Prime Health Lab. Today we're getting into a topic a lot of men over 50 deal with but almost never talk about, whether sciatica can actually affect your sex life. If you're new here, this channel is all about helping men and women regain their strength, energy, and confidence naturally as they get older. So if that sounds like something you want more of, go ahead and hit subscribe before we dive in, because this one gets interesting fast. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your body, because once you understand the why, everything else makes a lot more sense. Think of your spine as the main trunk of an electrical system. Running down from your lower back is one of the thickest, longest cables in your entire body, the sciatic nerve. It starts as several smaller nerve roots in your lower spine, then braids together and runs down through your hip, your glute, and all the way down your leg. When something presses on that cable, a disc that's bulging slightly, a tight piriformis muscle, some inflammation around the joint, it's a lot like kinking a garden hose. The water, or in this case the nerve signal, doesn't flow the way it's supposed to. You get pain, numbness, tingling, sometimes weakness. That part most people already know. Here's the part almost nobody explains. Those same nerve roots in your lower spine, particularly down around the base of your spine, an area doctors call the sacral region, don't just feed your leg. They're sitting right next to, and in some cases sharing connective pathways with, the nerves that control sensation and function in your pelvic area. The pudendal nerve, which plays a major role in arousal, sensation, and sexual function, comes from that same neighborhood. So when there's irritation, inflammation, or compression happening in that lower spine and pelvic region, it's not unreasonable that nearby pathways get affected too. It's not that sciatica directly damages your sexual function in every man. It's that the two systems are wired close enough together that problems in one area can create static in the other. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because it's not just about nerves overlapping. When your body is dealing with ongoing pain, your nervous system shifts into what's basically a protective mode. Think of it like your body turning up the volume on a smoke alarm. Pain signals get prioritized over almost everything else, including relaxation, arousal, and the kind of calm nervous system state your body actually needs to perform intimately. That's the same reason it's hard to focus on anything pleasant when your back is screaming at you. Your brain is busy managing a threat, not creating space for connection. There's also a hormonal piece worth understanding. Chronic pain, especially pain that disrupts sleep or limits movement over weeks or months, tends to raise cortisol, your primary stress hormone. And consistently elevated cortisol has a well-documented relationship with lower testosterone over time. Lower testosterone doesn't just affect energy and muscle, it plays a direct role in libido and performance. So, you've got a few things stacking on top of each other. Nerve pathways that are physically close together, a nervous system stuck in alarm mode, and a hormonal shift working against you in the background. And then there's the practical everyday reality. Certain positions or movements that once felt completely normal might now trigger pain or discomfort, which naturally makes a man hesitate or avoid those moments altogether. Add in muscle relaxants or pain medications, which can independently affect libido and performance as a side effect, and you can see how this becomes layered rather than simple. None of this means sciatica guarantees problems in this area, and it doesn't mean anything is permanently broken. It means there's a real biological reason this connection exists, and understanding it is the first step toward actually addressing it instead of just feeling confused or discouraged by it. Let's get into it. This is where things shift from understanding the problem to actually doing something about it. The first thing you need to understand is that sciatica responds well to movement that's smart and targeted. not to total rest, and not to pushing through pain either. Both extremes tend to make things worse. So let's go step by step. Step 1. Start with gentle nerve mobility work, sometimes called nerve flossing. This sounds more complicated than it is. While lying on your back, slowly straighten one leg toward the ceiling, then gently flex and point your foot a few times before lowering it back down. You're not stretching aggressively, you're just encouraging that nerve pathway to glide smoothly instead of staying irritated in one fixed position. Doing this for 60 seconds, once or twice a day, can make a noticeable difference within a couple of weeks for a lot of people. Step 2. Address the piriformis muscle, which sits deep in your glute and is one of the most common culprits pressing on the sciatic nerve. A simple seated stretch works well here. Sit in a chair, cross one ankle over the opposite knee, and gently lean forward from your hips, keeping your back straight. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing slowly, then switch sides. Doing this daily helps release tension in that area before it builds into a bigger problem. Step 3. Strengthen your glutes and core, because weak support muscles around your spine and hips force your lower back to compensate, which increases pressure on the nerve. You don't need anything intense. Glute bridges are ideal. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and slowly lift your hips toward the ceiling, squeezing your glutes at the top, then lower back down with control. 10 to 15 repetitions a few times a week builds real stability over time. Step 4, and this one matters more than people realize. Pay attention to how you sit and sleep. Sitting for long periods compresses the lower spine and can directly aggravate sciatic nerve irritation. If you're sitting for work or relaxing in the evening, try standing up and walking for 2 or 3 minutes every 30 to 45 minutes. At night, sleeping on your side with a pillow between your knees keeps your spine in a more neutral position and takes pressure off that nerve pathway while you rest. Step 5. Manage the stress and cortisol piece directly, since we talked about how that connects to hormones and libido. Something as simple as 10 minutes of slow, deep breathing before bed, in through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 6, can measurably lower stress hormone levels over time. This isn't about relaxation for its own sake. It's about giving your nervous system permission to step out of that constant alarm state we discussed earlier, which is part of what's getting in the way. Step 6, and this is an important one for intimacy specifically. Positioning matters. Positions that involve deep hip flexion or twisting of the lower spine tend to aggravate sciatic nerve compression the most. Positions that keep the spine more neutral and reduce direct pressure on the lower back and hips are generally far more comfortable. This isn't about limiting connection, it's about working with your body instead of against it while it heals. Open, honest communication with a partner about what feels good and what doesn't goes a long way here, and most partners appreciate that honesty far more than men expect. Step 7. If symptoms have lasted more than a few weeks, or if you're experiencing numbness, weakness, or changes in bladder or sexual function, it's time to get a proper evaluation from a doctor or physical therapist. Sciatica has a wide range of causes, and a professional can identify whether it's coming from a disc issue, muscle tightness, or something else, so your approach is targeted rather than guesswork. The encouraging news is that for most men, sciatica is very manageable with consistent, simple action. It doesn't usually require dramatic intervention. It requires steady, intentional movement and a little patience with the process. Now, let's clear up some confusion, because there are a few myths floating around about sciatica and sexual health that genuinely hold men back from getting better, and some of them are doing more damage than the sciatica itself. The first myth is that sciatica means something is permanently damaged, and that whatever effect it's having on your sex life is just how things are now. This is one of the most discouraging misconceptions out there, and it's simply not accurate for the vast majority of cases. Sciatica is almost always nerve irritation or compression, not permanent nerve destruction. Nerves are remarkably resilient. Once the pressure or inflammation causing the irritation is addressed, that nerve pathway typically returns to normal function. The fear of permanence often causes more stress, and as we talked about earlier, stress itself worsens the very symptoms you're trying to fix. So the truth is, this is a phase to work through, not a life sentence. The second myth is that if you have sciatica, the safest thing to do is avoid physical activity, including intimacy, completely until it's fully resolved. This actually tends to backfire. Total inactivity allows surrounding muscles to stiffen further, reduces blood flow to the area, and can actually prolong irritation rather than resolve it. The truth is that modified, comfortable movement almost always outperforms complete avoidance. This doesn't mean pushing through sharp pain. It means adjusting positions and pacing, the way we discussed in the practical section, rather than shutting everything down out of fear. The third myth is that if a man experiences performance issues alongside sciatica, it must be purely psychological, almost as if the physical explanation doesn't count. This one frustrates a lot of men because it can feel dismissive. The truth is more nuanced and honestly more reassuring. There is a real physical neurological component happening, exactly as we covered in the science section. At the same time, psychological factors like performance anxiety or fear of pain can absolutely amplify that physical effect. It's not one or the other, it's usually both working together. Recognizing that takes away the shame, because it confirms there's a legitimate biological reason this is happening, not a personal failure. The fourth myth is that sciatica is mainly something younger, more active people deal with, like athletes or people who lift heavy things for work. In reality, sciatica becomes considerably more common as we get older. Discs naturally lose some hydration and height over time, joints can develop mild arthritis, and muscles can tighten with reduced daily movement. None of that is a flaw. It's simply a normal part of aging that more men encounter after 50 than before it. So if this is something you're dealing with, you're not unusual, and you're definitely not alone. The fifth myth is that the only real solutions are medication or surgery, and that lifestyle changes are just minor extras that won't move the needle much. The truth, supported by a large body of clinical evidence, is that the majority of sciatica cases improve significantly with conservative approaches, targeted movement, posture changes, and addressing contributing factors like stress and inactivity. Surgery and medication absolutely have their place for certain cases, but they're typically not the first or only path, and many men see real improvement before those options ever become necessary. And the last myth, maybe the most important one to address, is the idea that this is something embarrassing that nobody else experiences or talks about. The honest truth is that this connection between sciatica and sexual health is incredibly common, even though it rarely comes up in conversation. Silence doesn't make a problem rare. It just makes it feel more isolating than it actually is. Here's what I'd love for you to do. If anything in this video gave you a new way of understanding something you've been dealing with quietly, drop a comment and let me know. This community exists, so men and women going through the same things don't have to figure it all out alone, and your experience might be exactly what helps someone else finally understand what's going on with their own body. If this helped you see things a little more clearly, subscribe to Prime Health Lab so you don't miss what we cover next, and we'll talk again soon.
Prime Health Lab is dedicated to men's internal health. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.